Madam President, it feels good to be back in the Oxford Union 27 years later. I don't know how many of you were alive when I joined the Union. I rise to speak in affirmation of the topic that says democracies must never ally with authoritarian regimes. And I must start by conceding that this is a very difficult debate. Why? What is a democracy? Where do we start and where do we end? What is an authoritarian regime? Where do we start? Where do we end? And in any case, democracies, so-called democracies, do bad things in their own countries. You want evidence? In the United States of America today, police brutality. 1/3 of the young black males in America are in prison or parole or probation. In England, beautiful England, the Macpherson Report of 1999 institutionalized racism in Britain. Not only that, democracies do create dictators in other regions. Democracies do create authoritarian regimes. Saddam Hussein was created by America when George Bush Sr. was at the CIA. Osama bin Laden is a creation of America. Mobutu Sese Seko was a creation of America. You love Mandela, don't you? The Americans and the British supported apartheid under Thatcher and Reagan. Constructive engagement. You love Mandela, don't you? When Mandela was arrested in 1962, it was on the strength of information from the CIA to the South African authorities. These democracies, Madam President, have a very difficult history. Authoritarian regimes, I know they're bad, but guess what? They also do some interesting good things. Their economies are strong. China has been able to remove 400 million people from poverty to prosperity. Singapore is not your favorite democracy. It's number 3, number 4 in the world in terms of competitiveness. Malaysia is doing all right. The Saudis are rich. So authoritarian regimes do some interesting good things. But what's more interesting to me as an African, when I was fighting for freedom, as Mkondo Sizwe, when I was fighting for freedom as Apla, when I was fighting for freedom as Zanla and Zipra, who gave me arms? By the way, it's Patrick Henry who said, give me freedom or give me death. So we needed guns and bullets to become free. My guns came from Cuba. My guns came from China. My guns came from Libya. My guns came from the authoritarian regimes of Eastern Europe. I am conceding that it's a very tough discussion. However, having said that, on the balance of the evidence of history, democracies must never ally with authoritarian regimes. Why? My first argument. Whatever benefits, whatever advantages that we accrue in working with dictators are very short term. They are not sustainable. In the long run, a democracy is more stable. A democracy is more prosperous. A democracy is safer for investment. So when we ally and work with democracies, it's a better and long-term strategy that works better. When the Americans begged Saddam Hussein, what happened? In the end, they had to take him out. When the Americans begged apartheid, where are you today? People in Africa remember that Mandela was in prison for 27 years because of America. So you damage your credibility in the long run. You damage your legitimacy in the long run. Whatever benefits, strategic interests, economic interests, security, geopolitical benefits that you get by aligning yourself with dictators, there are short-term benefits. In the long run, it's not good for business. Saudi Arabia receives what we call a democratic exemption. Bahrain, Uzbekistan, Egypt. It's a problem, Madam President. Second argument, I think we need to move away from this false binary that says either you pursue your national interests, strategic, economic, security, and geopolitical, or you promote democracy and human rights. Why can't you do both? Surely, with a creative foreign policy framework, surely with better innovation, you'll be able to pursue your national interests. At the same time, promote, incentivize, and encourage human rights, and also encourage democracy. That's what I propose, and that's why I support the motion that says democracies must never ally themselves with authoritarian regimes. Our problem, Madam President, is a man called Palmerston and a man called Kissinger. Viscount Palmerston, Prime Minister Palmerston, a great statesman in the UK, 2 times Prime Minister, 3 times as Foreign Secretary, died in 1865. What did he say? We do not have permanent enemies. We do not have permanent friends. All we have are permanent interests. And I close quote. That's Lord Palmerston, who died in 1865. And of course, our friend from the US, Henry Kissinger, also joined on the bandwagon of Palmerston. What does he say? America does not have permanent friends. America does not have permanent enemies, only permanent interests. That is the problem that we have. Our foreign policy doctrine in America, in Europe, in the world has been informed by realpolitik, by this argument of saying we have permanent interests. What that means is, according to Kissinger, according to Palmerston, if a dictator is serving your interests, you partner with the dictator in pursuit of your permanent interests. If a democracy is serving your interests, you partner with the democracy to pursue your interests.
On a point of information.
Thank you. I'm too busy. I am challenging this House. It's 153 years later. Palmerston died in office in 1865, and you are still stuck to his idea. We must revisit this idea and challenge the phrasing. Here's the new phrasing I'm proposing in the Union. A nation does not have permanent friends. A nation does not have permanent enemies. It has permanent interests and values. You can't just have interests in a vacuum. You must have permanent interests and permanent values. So when your friend who has a democracy stops being a democracy, you must engage them, encourage them to become a democracy. Don't continue to partner with a dictator. If there's an authoritarian regime, you must incentivize them, work with them, but not to just go to Saudi Arabia for the oil. Go to Saudi Arabia for trade without actually actively incentivizing. We must have a new model that says every nation has permanent interests and permanent values. Meaning, in addition to pursuing our permanent interests, we must also make sure there are values that go with it. How can you say, I'm going to get my oil, I'm going to sell my guns, I'm going to work with a country where there's torture, where there's child labor, where there's slavery? Really? Shame on us. Madam President, my last point is what I call the essence of humanity. Can you really stick up your head on your hind legs and say, I believe in human rights, I believe in democracy for the rights of my people in my country, my citizens, but I don't care about the human rights and democracy for the Chinese, for the Indians, for the Asians, whoever? Really, can you be credible? The freedom of expression, human rights are absolute. The belief has to be absolute. And not, we are living now under globalization, under the ICT revolution. Our nations are interconnected. Our nations are interdependent. We are now pushing the notion of collective humanity, shared dignity. I want to end on a question, Madam President. Are the lives of Africans, the lives of the Chinese, the lives of the Indians, the same value? Do they have the same value as the rights of the British, rights of the Americans? I stand before you as an African. Am I equal to you as a European? Am I equal to you as a Chinese? If the answer to these questions is that yes, we are equal, yes, we have shared dignity, yes, we have collective humanity, therefore, if that is the position, we must vote in affirmation to the motion that says democracies must never ally with authoritarian regimes. I thank you so very much.